Caleb and Nathan never learn. Every time you think their rivalry has cooled down, they find a new reason to clash, and this time, in Heartland Season 19, Episode 10, their tension doesn't just return. It erupts. One small spark is all it takes, and suddenly everyone at the ranch feels the heat. This episode doesn't open with peace. It opens with pressure, pride, and two men who refuse to step back. The episode begins with the quiet morning at Heartland. The sun is rising, the horses are calm, and the ranch looks peaceful. But that peace will not last long. The moment Caleb rides in, the energy shifts. His face tells a story. Before he even speaks, he's frustrated, annoyed, and clearly ready for a fight he hasn't even had yet. And then, almost like the universe is playing a joke, Nathan shows up right behind him. No words exchanged, yet the tension between them fills the air like a storm cloud. Anyone who has watched these two knows this is not new. Their rivalry has been growing all season. It started small, almost harmless, with little comments during coaching sessions and disagreements about training styles. But each episode added a new layer: old rodeo habits, clashing leadership, bruised egos, and the simple fact that both men want to prove they're the better trainer, the better rider, and the stronger man. And today, all that history sits heavy between them. Narration guides the viewer through quick flashes of their earlier conflicts. Shots of Caleb pushing a young rider to take risks. Nathan stepping in with his own advice. Arguments over who knows the Heartland horses better. Silent glares across the ranch yard. And that moment in Episode 7 when they almost came to blows before Amy stepped between them. All of this builds the picture. These two don't just disagree, they compete. Now in Episode 10, the rivalry feels like it's reached its boiling point. Caleb walks into the barn, trying to focus on work, but his mind is still stuck on something Nathan said the day before. Nathan, looking equally irritated, moves around the ranch like he's preparing for a showdown he knows is coming. Even the horses sense it. They toss their heads, feeling the tension that humans fail to hide. The narrator explains that this episode sets the stage for their next clash. It is not sudden. It is not random. It is the result of weeks of pressure, and the ranch itself becomes the backdrop for this silent, rising storm. Jack notices it first. He watches the two men from a distance, shaking his head like he already knows trouble is on the way. Amy feels the shift too. She hears the sharp tone in Caleb's voice, the cold silence from Nathan, and she knows that if they don't talk soon, something big will happen. The episode gives viewers a slow-motion look at how drama starts, not with shouting, not with action, but with unspoken anger and bruised pride. The narrator hints that even though the day has just started, the ranch is sitting on a powder keg. Every move Caleb and Nathan make feels tight, controlled, and full of hidden sparks. They try to act normal, but their rivalry shows in every step, every glare, every clipped word. This first section builds up the sense that Episode 10 is not just another argument. It's a continuation of a conflict that has been simmering since the season began. And before the next scene even arrives, the audience already knows. Caleb and Nathan are about to go at it again, and this time, the fallout will be bigger than before. The ranch is calm on the outside, but inside, the storm is already here, quiet, heavy, and ready to break open at the slightest touch. The spark that sets everything off doesn't arrive with noise, it comes quietly, almost unnoticed. It begins when Amy checks the training schedule pinned to the barn wall. Something is off. A horse that Caleb was supposed to work with, Rivalry, one of the most promising young rodeo prospects, has been moved to Nathan's time slot. At first, Amy thinks it's a simple mix-up. But the moment Caleb sees the change, his entire expression freezes. Calm turns into frustration in just a breath. Caleb walks up to the board, staring at the shift like it's a direct attack. He doesn't speak right away, but anyone watching can see the anger building under the surface. He asks the younger rider standing nearby who changed the schedule. The rider hesitates and answers softly, "Nathan said he needed Riverbend today." And that's it. That is the spark. The small thing that lights the fuse of their long-buried tension. Nathan arrives at that exact moment, almost like the universe planned the drama. He's carrying a saddle and acting as if nothing is wrong. When he notices Caleb staring at the schedule, his steps slow. Their eyes meet, and the silence between them becomes sharp enough to feel. Nathan tries to play it cool, saying he only switched the horse because Riverbend needs a different style of training. A simple explanation, but the tone behind it? Heavy with challenge. Caleb doesn't buy it. He steps forward, voice tight but controlled, telling Nathan he had a plan for Riverbend today and that the change wasn't his call to make. Nathan fires back, insisting he's thinking about the horse's best interest. He says Caleb pushes too hard. Caleb accuses Nathan of being too soft. Their voices grow louder, not shouting yet, but intense enough that even the horses in the stalls shift nervously. The narrator jumps in here, adding texture to the scene. This isn't just about a training schedule. It's everything they've been holding inside old rodeo competition. Pride from past wins and losses, the struggle to prove who deserves respect on the ranch. Every small disagreement from earlier episodes comes back to life in this moment. And once again, Heartland becomes the battleground for their bruised pride. Around them, the ranch crew begins to take notice. A couple of riders stop grooming their horses, pretending to work but quietly listening. Amy steps out from the arena, sensing the rising heat. Jack appears behind her, arms folded, eyes narrowed. He has seen hundreds of conflicts, but even he knows this one runs deeper than most. He mutters something under his breath, something about those boys needing to grow up, but he doesn't step in yet. He wants to see if they can handle it without exploding, but Caleb and Nathan don't back down. Caleb reminds Nathan of a promise they both made earlier in the season that they would respect each other's training plans. Nathan responds with a sharp comment about Caleb acting like he owns the entire ranch. That's when the shift happens. The air gets heavier. The tone gets colder. Their rivalry stops being professional and becomes personal. The argument follows them out of the barn and into the training yard. Caleb demands Riverbend back for the day. Nathan stands his ground. Shadows stretch across the dirt as the sun climbs higher, creating a dramatic frame around the two men locked in a silent challenge. No one dares step between them yet. The ranch is waiting, breath held, for what comes next. And beneath it all, the narrator hints at a deeper truth. This fight was never just about a horse. It's about leadership, trust, and two men who refuse to surrender their place. This episode uses every glare, every stiff movement, every tightly spoken word to show that the real conflict has just begun, and Heartland is only moments away from witnessing another clash between Caleb and Nathan that could change everything. Again, the breaking point doesn't come with a loud shout. It comes with a single mistake, small, sudden, and dangerous enough to snap the ranch into chaos. Caleb and Nathan's argument spills into the arena, neither willing to back down. The younger riders keep their distance, whispering among themselves, and even Amy feels unsure whether to step in or let the two men clash until they exhaust their anger. But that hesitation lasts only a moment, because in the middle of all that heat, something goes wrong. Caleb decides to prove his point by working with Riverbend right then and there. He pulls the horse from the stall, saddles up quickly, and leads him toward the arena with stiff anger in every movement. Nathan follows, refusing to let Caleb show him up again. The tension between them pulls tighter with each step. Riverbend, sensitive and young, senses that pressure and begins to act restless. His ears flick back, his steps grow uneven, and he snorts sharply as if trying to warn them both. But Caleb and Nathan are too wrapped in their argument to listen. As Caleb mounts, Amy calls out, telling him the horse isn't settled. He answers with a quick nod, but doesn't stop. Nathan steps closer, challenging every move, suggesting that Caleb shouldn't ride a horse in this mood. Caleb fires back, accusing Nathan of trying to make him look incompetent. Their voices rise again, sharp, angry, layered with all the history they've refused to let go. And then, in the middle of their heated back and forth, Riverbend spooks. It happens fast. A loud clatter from the equipment shed, a dropped metal rake echoes across the arena. Riverbend jumps sideways, muscles tightening, and Caleb loses his balance for a split second. That half second is enough. Riverbend kicks backward and bolts forward, sending Caleb sliding dangerously in the saddle. The ranch gasps as one. Amy drops the lid rope she was holding. Jack steps forward immediately. Even Nathan's expression shifts from anger to worry. Without thinking, Nathan moves. His instincts kick in from years of rodeo experience. He runs to cut off Riverbend's path before Caleb can hit the ground. Caleb, fighting to regain control, pulls hard on the reins, trying to calm the horse. The two men seconds ago locked in a furious argument now work together without speaking. Nathan whistles sharply, stepping into Riverbend's line of sight, while Caleb uses the distraction to guide the horse into a tight circle. Dust swirls around them as the horse slows, still terrified but no longer frantic. Finally, Riverbend stops, trembling but safe. Caleb exhales, shaken. Nathan rests his hands on his hips, equally breathless. For the first time since their rivalry resurfaced, the anger between them breaks not with peace, but with shock. The ranch falls silent. It's as if the entire place is processing what almost happened. Caleb slowly dismounts, his boots hitting the ground with a heavy thud. He pats Riverbend's neck, whispering an apology to the horse, then looks at Nathan. And that look is different, no fire, no challenge. Just the sharp reality of how close things came to disaster. Nathan steps closer, lowering his voice. He tells Caleb that this moment is exactly why he changed the schedule. He believed Riverbend needed a calmer session, something slower, something safer. Caleb wants to argue, wants to fire back with pride, but the near accident has shaken him too deeply. His hands still tremble slightly from the adrenaline. In the quiet that follows, both men face the truth they've been avoiding. Their pride is hurting more than just themselves. Amy joins them, her voice soft but firm. She doesn't scold them. She doesn't take sides. Instead, she tells them that Heartland isn't a place for ego. It's a place for growth, for care, and for teamwork. Jack, standing behind her, adds a gruff comment about how a ranch can't survive if the people running it are busy, fighting each other instead of focusing on the horses. His tone isn't angry, it's disappointed, which somehow feels worse. Caleb looks at Nathan again, and for the first time in a long while, he nods. Just a small gesture, but it's enough to break the ice. Nathan nods back, almost embarrassed. Neither apologizes out loud, not yet, but the moment speaks for itself. The near accident has forced them to stop seeing each other as rivals and instead as horsemen who both care deeply. Even if they show it differently. The narrator steps in, guiding the audience through the shift. This confrontation wasn't just a fight, it was a warning, a wake-up call for both men. And though the tension between them isn't fully gone, something has changed. Beneath the dust settling in the arena, a new understanding begins to form. Not friendship, not yet, but respect. A fragile, uneasy respect that could grow or break, depending on what comes next. Because if one thing is certain, it's this. The story between Caleb and Nathan isn't over. Not even close. And after today's near disaster, the stakes for their next clash are higher than ever. The dust has settled in the arena, but the tension still hangs in the air like a faint echo. Caleb stands with Riverbend's reins loosely wrapped in his hands, staring at the horse as if replaying every second of what nearly went wrong. Nathan keeps a small distance, his arms crossed, his face unreadable. No one talks right away. The ranch feels quieter than it has all day, as if every corner is catching its breath. Heartland has seen plenty of drama, but moments like this, moments that almost break something important, always leave a mark. Jack is the first to move. He walks toward the two men with slow, heavy steps, the kind that say he's been thinking the whole time. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't lecture. Instead, he tells them both exactly what they need to hear. If either of you had hit the ground today, it wouldn't have been the horse's fault. It would have been yours. His words cut through the silence, not with anger but with truth. Caleb looks down, feeling the weight of it. Nathan shifts uncomfortably, knowing Jack is right. Amy steps beside Jack, softer but just as clear. She reminds them that Heartland is a place built on trust, a trust between people and between humans and horses. She tells them that Riverbend reacted to their emotions, not his own fear. Horses read hearts better than humans ever could, and today, Riverbend read anger instead of calm. Her tone isn't accusing. It's honest, and honesty tends to sink deeper than anything else. Caleb finally breaks the silence. He lets out a long breath, then turns to Nathan. His voice is low, not quite steady, but sincere. He admits that he let his pride get in the way of his judgment. Nathan doesn't respond at first. The old version of him, the stubborn, defensive one, wants to stay silent. But the part of him that saw Caleb nearly fall steps forward. He nods, not dramatically, not proudly, just quietly. He admits he should have talked to Caleb before changing the schedule. 2 small sentences. But in the world of their rivalry, it's huge. The ranch lets out a collective exhale, and the mood shifts. It's not cheerful. It's not warm. But it's lighter. The kind of calm that comes after a storm, when the sky is still heavy but the worst has passed. Caleb hands Riverbend's reins to Amy, trusting her to guide the horse back to the barn. When he turns back toward Nathan, they share a look that doesn't need words: respect. Or something close to it, finally beginning to take shape later in the day. The narrator guides the viewers through a montage of quiet moments. Caleb helping a young rider tighten a saddle. Nathan adjusting the training cones in the arena without being asked. Amy brushing Riverbend, checking for any tension in his muscles. Jack watching from the porch, tipping his hat with a tired but satisfied expression. Life at Heartland continues, steady and familiar, but something subtle has changed. The evening settles over the ranch with soft golden light. Caleb and Nathan happen to walk past each other near the stables. This time, instead of ignoring each other, they stop. Caleb mentions a new rodeo technique he's been testing. Nathan listens, then offers his own thoughts. It isn't friendly, not yet, but it's civil. It's progress. It's 2 men realizing they might be stronger working side by side than pushing against each other like stubborn bulls in a tiny pen, but Heartland never ends a moment cleanly tied up with a bow. There's always a shadow, always a new ripple beneath the calm surface. As the sun dips behind the hills, a truck pulls into the ranch. A new face steps out, someone connected to an upcoming rodeo event. Someone who knows both Caleb and Nathan from years back. Someone who has a way of stirring trouble without even trying. They greet Jack, exchange a few words, then glance toward the barn where Caleb and Nathan stand. The narrator hints that this new arrival brings news that will push the fragile peace between Caleb and Nathan to its limit. A high-stakes competition, a shared responsibility, or maybe an opportunity that only one of them can take. Whatever it is, it won't be simple. It won't be calm, and it won't let their rivalry rest for long. The final shot of the episode pulls back slowly, showing the entire ranch bathed in sunset. Horses grazing. Dust swirling in the air. Caleb and Nathan walking in opposite directions again, but with slightly softer shoulders. Heartland stands strong as ever, steady, welcoming, and quietly preparing for the next test. That will challenge this uneasy truce, and then the narrator whispers the closing tease. If you think today was the end of their conflict, just wait. Heartland has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. And next time, the stakes will be higher. Fade out. No answers. Just anticipation and the promise of another storm forming on the horizon.